All right, you know this is serious because we're sitting on the floor. All right, you lot, we haven't done one of these for a while, so I thought it was time for a little Q&A catch up. I do actually have like a few videos of me doing actual work kind of in the pipeline at the moment, but because it takes like so many weeks to do one job, that video is just like in process. I have like 3 videos of 3 different jobs that are currently like in process. So when those jobs are finished, there will be videos, but for now, I thought we'd do a Q&A because we did a Q&A video a couple of months ago, and since then I've had a lot more Q's and I've got some A's, so let's go. Got my laptop because I do actually go through all the comments and make notes every time someone asks like an interesting question. I do make notes. My laptop's now covered in dust. Okay, question the first that I get asked quite a lot is, and I have briefly mentioned this on a video recently, but we're going to mention it again, is the tap and replace method. Rhythm, the Mason's rhythm. So when I'm working stone, people ask why I kind of hit, remove, replace, hit, remove, replace, and that kind of like rhythm. I was always told that rather than chisel chasing, which is like tap, tap, actually, let's just, oh my God. So chisel chasing is where you're like, tappy, tap, tap. The Mason's rhythm is where you kind of like, chisel down, hit, chisel off, chisel down, hit, chisel off, like this. So you get like a different rhythm. And when you're doing stone masonry, that is the rhythm that you're going to work to. And I was always told, and this does seem to make sense, that you are more likely to get an accurate line when you do that because you're removing and replacing the chisel each time. Whereas if you're chisel chasing, you're more likely to dig in and go under your line. So it's less accurate. That is what I was always told. And also it just feels right to do the hit replace thing. It's really hard to explain, but when you're working a piece of stone and working a flat surface, you can, when you're roughing out, you can kind of remove more. You're not going to like dig into the stone. You can adjust the angle of your chisel easier. There's lots of reasons. People always also ask why we have round mallets, and we're going to talk about this mallet in a minute because this is a new one and this is pretty exciting. Why our mallets, these aren't hammers, these are mallets, are round. And that's because there is 2 reasons. You can get the most amount of weight in the most efficient surface area, volume, is that the right? I'm trying to think of the right words here, but yeah, you want heavy mallets, but you want them to be kind of compact. So making it a circle is kind of getting the most amount of stuff in the least amount of area. Does that make sense? Kind of. Also, you've got a bigger hitting surface. So if it was obviously a hammer with a square surface, you've only got like that much space. Whereas with a mallet, you can kind of hit it at all different angles and you're still getting the same striking surface. So you're less likely to kind of miss and slip, and you're getting the same strike no matter what. And we use a mallet with mallet-headed chisels. So I am going to make a video in the workshop of all of the tools, chisels, mallets, hammers that we use and go through them. And that is going to be a big video that is going to take quite a while. So that is in the pipeline. Question the second. Okay, this is less of a question and more of like a comment that I get quite a lot on a lot of videos. I'm looking down here because that's where my laptop is with all the questions. People always say, oh, I wonder how many people died building this. Oh, it's shocking to think how many people died building castles and cathedrals and churches and whatnot in the medieval period. I don't have any facts. I've got no facts or figures on this. So this is purely just my opinion, just pure conjecture. My opinion is on how many people died building these things. People haven't changed. The materials have changed. The tools might have changed. The methods might have changed, but people and their willingness to want to survive hasn't changed. I think as people, we are quite good at calculating risk. We are all fairly risk averse. Wooden scaffold isn't necessarily any more or less dangerous than metal scaffold. There are still lots of places all over the world that use wooden scaffold. It actually has its benefits. It flexes, it's easier to adjust. Like wooden scaffold is just as fine. It's maybe a bit more of a fire risk, which is why we don't use it now. But I think that actually in the medieval period, probably less people died than you thought because they wouldn't have done something that would have actively put them in danger unless it was like a terrible accident. And there are instances where apprentices that have died or masons that have died are actually kind of memorialised Is it in Gloucester? Someone will correct me. I believe there's like a corbel in Gloucester that depicts a mason falling to his death, because a mason falling to his death was quite a big deal. So if it was a big enough deal for them to do a carving to memorialise this person, then I imagine it probably didn't happen very often. But that's just my guess. Anyone else weigh in on that conversation? If anyone has any actual facts, let me know. If you can hear some squeaking, it's because the canteen's up there and everyone's turning up for breakfast because it's like 7:10 in the morning. Okay, a bit of a rogue one. A couple of people have said, what is my tattoo? It's a witch's hat. It's upside down. It's like, okay, yeah, there. Ta-da! It's a witch's hat. The witch's hat is my mason's mark. We'll go through that one day. Okay, people ask how, when we're replacing a stone, how do we get the stone out in one piece? We don't. So if a stone is being replaced, it's usually because it is so damaged that it's shattered or crumbled or has become completely structurally unsound. So it's not in one piece anyway, it's already rubble just in the wall. We're just removing that rubble from the wall and putting a new intact stone in situ. If there is an instance where we're removing something that does have like a decorative element, a carving or a shape to it, if we are able to remove that in one piece, then that does get kept. We have a lapidarium, which is literally the Latin for stone storage. So anything that is archival, like significant, that has a shape that could be referenced in the future is kept down in the lapidarium. So there you go. Someone has asked, do I ever work on internal stones, so inside the building rather than outside the building? What if a sparky damages something inside, and how much is original inside? Great question. We very rarely have to work inside because a lot of the work we're doing externally is because of weather damage, water ingress and egress, that kind of thing. So it's the weathered stuff on the outside that is predominantly going to get replaced. Very, very rarely have to fix something inside. If we do have to fix something inside, it's because someone has damaged it, like an accident has happened, like someone has knocked something. We do have a lot of events in the cathedral, I believe recently, well not too recently, a couple of years ago, there was quite a big film being filmed in Lincoln Cathedral, and they decided to drive some cherry pickers, some mupes, through the nave, and they cracked a few slabs. So I had to run out and replace some slabs real quick so they could carry on filming. But usually it'll be like, yeah, someone has knocked something, or yeah, something like that. Someone has asked, do we leave Easter eggs in the wall? Obviously not literal Easter eggs, because they would melt. No, we don't, because that's not allowed. And that's all I'm going to say on that. That would be bad if we did that. I believe in the past they have left time capsules in though, but since I've been working here, I've worked here for nearly 9 years now, and I haven't worked on a job where they've decided to do a time capsule. But I think before I started, they did a big scheme of works in the early 2000s, and they put a time capsule in the bit that they were working on, which is pretty cool. This is the big question that gets asked loads. Who pays for all of this? Who pays for all of this? The amount of times that people tell me that this is a waste of the taxpayers' money is insane. We don't get any money from the government. There is no taxpayers' money here, guys. That would be nice. That would be lovely if the government actually took their built heritage seriously enough to want to invest in its upkeep, but sadly they don't. So that's my little rant there. I'm just going to park that. We don't get any money for the upkeep of the fabric of the building from the Church of England or from the government. So each cathedral is an independent charity and is responsible for fundraising the money that that cathedral needs to do the conservation work on the building. So there might be millions of pounds worth of work that has to be done to keep that cathedral standing, and it is the responsibility of the cathedral to find that money. So when you go to a cathedral, or even like a stately home or a castle or something owned by English Heritage or National Trust, it is the admission price, or it is ticket cost for events, or just charitable donations that are purely keeping those things standing. So visit your built heritage, guys. They need it. They need the money. Okay, do you ever hit your thumb? It happens. Like, yeah. I mean, less so now because I've been doing it a long time. But when you first start, you might hit your thumb. It's the same with anything. You just got to learn, guys. Someone has asked, is there much variation in the final product? Would you be able to pick your work out from the crowd? Yes and no. So like if we're doing masonry, like the blocks that make up the building, like the string courses and the weatherings and all that nonsense, we work to like millimetre tolerance. So it has to be perfect, flat and flush and plumb, square and all that. But like you can identify, I could identify a me stone compared to a Craig stone or a Nick stone just because of the tooling. You can sometimes tell if someone is right-handed or left-handed because of the way that the tooling radiates. Some people do a harder tooling, some people do a softer tooling. You can sometimes tell from the tooling on the stone like which mason it is, but you kind of have to have worked in that workshop with that mason to be able to identify their tooling. So that's cool. Is there always plenty of work or do you get quiet in the winter? So we have decades of work. The amount of work that we can do depends on things like funding and how many masons we've got. We've only got a finite amount of people working here, and we've only got a finite amount of money. So if we had infinite people, infinite money, we could do loads of work and we could make the building look beautiful. But we can't, so we don't. It's kind of supposed to work seasonally, so outside work, summer, inside work, winter. So carving the stones in the workshop or winter, and then in spring we go out and fix the stones on the building, and then by winter we're indoors carving stones for the next phase. That's how it should work. There are some spanners that get thrown in the works that kind of push things back. So this year's been a bit of a weird one, and we've had loads of side quests. So things have been kind of like pushed back, and we are now in August and we're still not outside. So it's getting a bit like, oh, we should have maybe been outside by now, but there's just been so much to do and so many side quests. But hopefully in the next, I'm going to say in the next 2 weeks, at least 2 of us are going to be outside fixing, and we're going to leave a few people in working stone, but there might be some overlap. But you never know. It's just things happen. Okay, 2 more questions. Lots of people have asked, do I get repetitive strain or arthritis or that kind of thing? I haven't. I'm sure there are masons out there that maybe have struggled with their joints or maybe not. The trick is to let the weight of the tool do the work for you. So you're not kind of like flexing your joints so much. You're almost kind of like, it's hard to explain. It's the lift and fall, the rise and fall. You're letting the weight of the mallet do the work for you. Just do lots of stretches. Take care of your body. That's the thing. You work in construction, your body is your most important tool. So go to the chiropractor, get a massage, take care of your body, do your stretches. Don't pick heavy things up with a twisting, jerking motion located solely in your lower back. Pick things up properly. Ask someone for help. You don't get extra points for hurting yourself. You don't get a medal when you retire for like lifting the heaviest thing. So just like don't hurt yourself. Okay. Last question someone has asked, why don't I film the whole process? So like if I'm carving a stone, why don't I film the whole process start to finish? And I've said this before, but it's worth repeating because some stones might take me like 80 hours. I mean, it's average, maybe like a week, so maybe like only 30 hours or 38 hours. But yeah, some stones could take hundreds of hours. So that's, I mean, I don't have that much memory in my phone. I barely have enough storage in my phone left to film this video because it's flashing at me that I'm running out of storage. Okay, right, that was a bit quick and rambly, but I do get so many questions and I do make notes, write them all down, and then periodically, every few months, I will do one of these videos addressing all of your questions. As always, if you do have any questions or recommendations for videos, get it in the comments and I'll put it in my notes. Right, before I sign off and go to work and have my breakfast because it's 7:30, a couple of exciting things happened this week that I want to address. So starting from the beginning, I started doing this YouTube seriously in January this year, so January 2026. I did have a YouTube channel like years before, which I put like 2 or 3 shorts on and then quickly got bored and mothballed it. So this year, January, I was like, I'm going to do the YouTube thing, and I did. And I am honestly amazed at how many of you have started following me. I'm so grateful, and I can't say this enough. Super grateful for how many people have like followed my little stonemasonry journey and are willing to listen to me going on about work. And there is starting to develop like a little community. Like when I check the comments, there are people that will comment on every video who I like recognise each week, and it's like you get like a little community of people and everyone says genuinely really nice and kind things, which is so lovely. And because we have such a wonderful, friendly community here of people that just want to see a ginger girl hitting rocks. I mentioned a few videos ago that, because if I give tool recommendations, I'll always try and recommend the best tools. And one of the best places to get mallets from is a company called Konig in Germany. And I mentioned on a few videos that I was trying to get a Konig 950 mallet, but they do not ship outside of Germany. I think they ship to Germany or Switzerland. That is it. And I've been trying for about 2 years to get a Konig 950 mallet, unsuccessfully, until the lovely Graham, who follows me on here, who subscribes and comments, who was travelling from Germany to the UK, bought me a Konig mallet, which has blown my mind. So kind, so thank you. This is like a big shout out to Graham for making this happen. So thank you so much. I am eternally grateful. And you can tell I've used it. I literally got it yesterday and I used it all day yesterday. It's so good. So absolutely chuffed with that. Thank you. And then yesterday afternoon, a parcel arrived at the workshop. My boss brought in this parcel and it came with a lovely letter from a chap called Bruno Taylor. So Bruno Taylor, if you're watching this, comment below so I can see who you are in the comments. And lovely Bruno trained as a civil engineer in the 1980s and has sent me his old beam compass that he used to use. So I've got this gorgeous, let me show you guys, try not to get too much dust on it, gorgeous beam compass that is absolutely going to go in my setting out kit box, and I am going to use it the next round of setting out in however many months from now. I'm going to use that beam compass, and I am very, very grateful to the lovely Bruno for sending that with such a nice letter. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. This has blown my mind. You lot are so lovely. Right, before I ramble on anymore, let's call this video it for now. There will be in the next few weeks some actual videos of me working coming up, but like I said, it takes a little while. But in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video or if you enjoy any of the videos that I make, I would be super duper grateful if you would like and subscribe, do the YouTube thing, but you don't have to. If you don't want to, that's cool too. Right, it's 7:45 on a Tuesday morning. Let's go to work.